Rachel Zegler may have cost Disney hundreds of millions of dollars with their newest rendition of Snow White. The movie is generating a lot of media attention amid the controversy as the young actress who plays Snow White is seen as the reason for the movie's failure. The search term Snow White is clearly trending because of this news. Let's discuss how much money was lost from the actress's alleged impact on the performance. Yes, Snow White is bombing at the box office. Some people think celebrities' opinions and political statements are losing their influence on the general population. This story may indicate that they still have the ability to cost production studios hundreds of millions of dollars if they engage in bad PR, though. While it's currently the fourth highest release in the box office so far this year, the numbers are a bit worse when further analyzed. Nearly $93 million worldwide revenue after the first 5 days of release. For those of you wanting this movie to fail, I may have good news for you. I've seen the budget price range from $210 million to $270 million. The general rule of thumb is that the budget doesn't include marketing the movie, and you need to allocate around 50% of the box office number to the theaters that play the movie. So a movie like Snow White with a $250 million budget will need around $500 million in box office revenue to break even at the box office. And then the post-box office run is where marketing will be recouped and hopefully turn a profit for the studio. Forbes has a list of domestic box office numbers for recent comps to Snow White, and it's pacing slowly. Mufasa the Lion King had a terrible opening weekend, but ultimately made over $700 million in the box office alone. Snow White will unlikely have a similar run considering its bad PR, and the initial reviews are far inferior than Mufasa. Snow White currently has just a 1.6 rating on IMDb, one of the lowest ever. Its Rotten Tomatoes score is 44% with an audience score of 74%. The centerpiece of this story is how bad PR can really cost an ambitious project hundreds of millions of dollars, which I personally find fascinating. So how did all this happen? In June 2021, Rachel Zegler was announced as the leading actress for the new Snow White. Zegler, who is of Colombian and Polish descent, tweeted Tuesday afternoon, "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role," presumably in response to a handful of haters who opposed the idea of a Latina Snow White. Her tweet was since been deleted. Here's what she looks like in the movie. I am pretty confident that her being a Latina would have had no effect on the box office had she not said some things we'll cover in a minute, and the movie received really great ratings. Rachel is in a PR nightmare storm right now, but was she the right hire for the job? She was the Golden Globe winner for Best Actress in 2021 for her role as Maria in West Side Story, and she's played Juliet on Broadway in the recent revival of the famous play. I think it's fair to say that she's an incredibly talented actress and can sing a little. She has the look to be a star, but this recent controversy shows that bad PR can derail a movie. The film was directed by Mark Webb, whose first movie is one of my 10 favorites, 500 Days of Summer, and the two guys in charge of producing an original soundtrack won an Oscar already for their work on La La Land, another fantastic movie. Gal Gadot admits Imagine cover was in poor taste. Sometimes you don't hit the bullseye, right? Anyone remember that really dumb celebrity film video about staying in your mansion during COVID and imagining a wonderful life? Gal was in it and was then announced as the co-star for the Snow White movie in 2021 after Rachel was, so this movie didn't exactly get off to a great start in the PR department. When the trailer was released, these two geniuses, of course, had to give their opinion and political statements about a trending news story in the Middle East. My absolute favorite part about co-stars trying to give their political opinions is when they're conflicting with each other while trying to promote a movie with a $250 million budget. Note to any celebrities, YouTubers, or wannabe Instagram influencers, no one cares about your geopolitical opinions, I can guarantee it. And we're seeing with this movie, you will likely be only doing damage to yourself. Snow White star Rachel Zegler's social media was vetted by Disney after anti-Trump post report. Something I found hilarious is that Disney had to hire a team of people to vet Rachel's posts on social media before the release of the movie. After she posted what I'm about to show you, Disney was like, "Thanks, Rachel. We spent $250 million on a movie you're starring in only for you to screw it up with a single post." I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Another 4 years of hatred leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in, leaning us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. In a follow-up post, the actress added there is a deep, deep sickness in the United States due to how many people voted for a man who threatens our democracy. It's generally best to not make statements like this after a recent president garnered 77 million votes, more than half of the voting population. I genuinely don't think people would have cared if she said she voted for the other candidate and left it at that. But to add in the personal attacks obviously led to the remarks going viral on social media. Rachel Zegler responds to live-action Snow White being labeled politically correct. A big reason why this movie is trending now is because the movie had been receiving bad PR for a couple years, and for the movie to bomb at the box office has allowed for many media members to play the "I told you so" game. Here's her quote. "People are making these jokes about ours being the PC Snow White," where it's like, yeah, it is, because it needed that, the actress said. "It's an 85-year-old cartoon, and our version is a refreshing story about a young woman who has a function beyond Someday My Prince Will Come." This quote was 2 years before the movie was released, but it's become pretty obvious in the past few months that a lot of Americans are tired with the concept of woke, and so her quote didn't exactly age well. More bad PR arrived the other day. This Variety article detailed a lot of the behind-the-scenes drama that plagued the movie's production. One example is her feeling the need to add in political commentary on a post that included the trailer to Snow White. The trailer to a kids' movie is definitely the best place to include your thoughts about a war happening 30,000 miles away from you. Rachel made so many colossal mistakes that you just have to wonder who in the world was media training her. And to include a rude remark towards the newly elected president was also a terrible decision. In that Variety article, there was an allegation that one of the movie's producers had to fly cross-country to reprimand Rachel for her comments, especially considering these were all done in the run-up to release of the movie when everyone's supposed to be getting hyped for the movie's release. His son responded to a comment addressing this. "You really want to do this?" Platt responded. "Yeah, my dad, the producer of the enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which he signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for." Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. The level of selfishness is off the charts. I just don't understand why these celebrities constantly feel the need to tell you their political opinions. No one cares, and absolutely no one is changing their opinions because of your statements on an Instagram post. Because of how difficult it is for studios like Disney to recoup on massive budget movies in 2025, I would not be surprised if we see more control over the social media accounts of the leading actors and actresses. We focus a lot on this channel about stories where an influencer is essentially defrauding investors out of millions of dollars, but in this case, we see someone who's pretty influential, possibly costing the Disney studio $100 million or more. Thanks so much for watching.